Welcome to Convention Reviews. Today we'll be talking about Otakon 2025. This convention takes place at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C., where it's been held since 2017 and has an average attendance of about 45,000 attendees. One of the interesting things about Otakon in the last few years is that they've really embraced a lot of Korean culture and entertainment into the convention scene with the introduction of a new mascot. And this can also be seen with a lot of the entertainment too, which really goes to show that the convention is continuing to grow and evolve with the changing times of the anime fandom. The theme of Otakon this year was camping, which was quite cute to see throughout the event, although I don't think there were many actual panels related to camping. On Thursday afternoons, they also hold a small Matsuri festival, which has a lot of small performances to kick off the convention. But unfortunately, I was not there long enough to actually see most of the event, but I was told it was pretty fun. One thing that was done different this year was that I actually used the DC Metro system to get around DC, and it actually was really easy to use, not that difficult, and really affordable compared to driving in or using taxi cabs, so definitely a consideration for anybody going in the future. One of the noteworthy features of the convention is the gaming hall. It is a hangar-sized event room where everything from video games to cosplay photos to food is served, among many others, but probably one of the more noteworthy ones in my opinion is they have a large selection of Itashas as well as JDM vehicles that are put on display. These vehicles are brought in by various owners across the US that have basically wrapped their vehicles in anime wraps, as well as our exclusive Japanese import vehicles. I've always found these things to be really fun. It's always cool to see the newer wraps that people bring in and vehicles, and it really kind of opens up your eyes to like a whole new world of the fandom that most people normally don't get to see. Another interesting feature of Otakon is that they also have a number of video rooms that do play anime over the entire convention, which is a really nice kind of kickback feature from kind of older conventions. A newer addition to Otakon this year was the Anime Home Video Museum. This is actually a really interesting growing event I've seen at a handful of other events where basically there is a massive collection of anime memorabilia from basically the earliest home video to the present, and it really has become an interesting evolving event. They constantly are buying new stuff to improve upon the museum, which is always an interesting treat to look at. Another interesting thing that was included was they were playing 80s city pop music in the background, which was kind of a nice ambiance thing. Another change to Otakon this year was the Mecha Kai-Con panel room. This was a room dedicated to everything mech-oriented. They played mech-related anime as well as mech-related panels throughout the entire weekend, as well as a lot of people could actually assemble their own Gunpla, among many others, if they wanted to on the side, which was kind of a nice touch to say the least. There really were some interesting panels throughout the weekend that definitely caught my interest as well, and I hope they continue this in the future. Another featured event at Otakon is the AMV contest. As far as I'm aware, it's one of the oldest, longest running events at this particular convention and has really become a celebrated component of the fandom. Basically, there is a lot of different varieties of AMVs throughout the weekend, from the main contest, which pulls in some of the best creators, as well as a lot of throwbacks to past events. There was a Vix pick, who was one of the coordinators for Otakon for many years, and as well as many other AMV related events as well. Another featured aspect of Otakon is that there's a lot of really great fan panels throughout the entire weekend, and it's really interesting to see a wide variety of topics covering from more recent elements like the Apothecary Diaries to covering more niche titles that may appeal a little bit more to older fans, but there also were a handful of really interesting cases like very weird Japanese commercials as well as awesomely bad Japanese music videos, among many others, that were definitely highlights for me over the entire weekend. But there also were other aspects like visiting Japan, as well as many others that were really appealed to a wide variety of fans, no matter what kind of fan you are. Even some of their After Dark content also is really fun. There was one that was on pole dancing in anime that was quite interesting, to say the least, just to show that there's a wide variety of content available. Otakon also has a dedicated block of entertainment regarding workshops, where you can build and learn different techniques for cosplay, among many others, which also is pretty cool to say the least. Another reason why Otakon is really interesting is that it has a lot of industry-related panels throughout the weekend. One of the big ones is that they invite various guests such as Animigo and Discotech, who are some of the last physical media that's not really owned and controlled by some of the bigger players like Sony. But there also are other cases, such as they invited a lot of artists from like the Apothecary Diaries, manga artists I know had come, as well as several others from like Studio Orange, but most notably Studio Trigger also came to visit this particular convention as well, which they were promoting Panty and Stocking, which was met with a lot of fanfare. Outside of that, there also was a lot of cosplay throughout the weekend. I would arguably say this particular year was the year of the K-pop Demon Hunters, Uma Musume, and Panty and Stocking, to say the least, but there also were several other really great cosplays throughout the weekend from both new and older anime, and it's really interesting to run across people and their love for their craft and their particular cosplay as well, which really is interesting to kind of run across because you never know who's going to be like walking around the corner. So if you're into that, it's definitely a really fun trip to go on. Otakon is also notoriously known for having some really good musical acts, and this year was actually really unique due to the fact that instead of getting 1 or 2 bands, they actually went with 4, which was definitely an interesting take on entertainment for the convention. Though I personally was only able to see the Mindarin and Baby Beard concert on Sunday afternoon, it definitely was nice to see the fact that there was concerts available almost every day and meeting opportunities for signatures and one-on-ones with these guests, which really is a unique experience for everybody that's involved with these kinds of events, which is always fun. One of the other things I will mention was the fact that with the 4 different artists that were brought in, it really kind of represents a wide variety of the fandom. The fact that we had K-pop, Japanese representation. There also was representation from Canada, as well as somebody that was a YouTuber that also had become a professional singer in her own right. So it's definitely unique to see that, Otakon's really trying to cover a lot of different ground, especially for their musical talent. Overall, Otakon this year was a really amazing event that really pulled in a lot of different resources. I will personally say that it's one of these events where there's always way more stuff going on than you'll ever have time to go see, and really makes you want to come back again and try to catch some more that you missed. So please let me know if you attended Otakon this year or if you had any comments in particular, but if not, I hope to see you on the next convention review.